this opportunity. Uh, so for today's topic is about one weak point. So what does this one weak point means? How does it influence in our lives? So there might be many positive things that we might have in our lives. There might be many strong things that we might be we say that this is also really a strong thing, it's really nice. So, and they might compliment you something which is good in you. They say that like you might know about what is your weak point, or like you might have your positive side more and you might have any one of your negative point. So how does that influence in our life? So that is how we're going to see about today. So we might have a lot of things in our life, like we might think we have freedom to do something and like which we like, or we might think it is really like something which we do, we think it's free to do for us, and we might like doing things that we feel, yeah, it's fine for me to do something about myself. Or we might think what makes me comfortable makes me also to do things which are free. But the same things what we do in our lives also would be something different in someone else's life. Like we like to do something else like in our life which makes us think that it's really nice, or we might think that's something free to do for us, but that might influence in someone's life. It would be like something that what we do would make them feel that it is guilty. So it's about the same thing. Like we might have many positive things in our life, but we might have one weak point that would actually kind of like mislead us to many ways. So that might also be as a communion between our soul and sin. That might be the only link thing that might unite us to sin. So it is like the child of God, as we should ask God to take that part from us, that weak point in our heart, which unites the sin and our soul. We might have many other good and positive things in our life. We might have many strong points in us, but that one weak point that we have might unite us, or that would be a startup or a link to unite to sin. So we must ask God to ask him to come in ourselves and to remove that one weak point with his help. We might not be jealous of someone, but the things that they say, they might be mean to us and we might be provoked by it. And the things that they say, which we won't be jealous of them having something which we like, but then that thing, when they be mean to us, we get provoked and it brings anger to us. Like we be anger, like we get easily angry and we just yell at them back, like we try to mean to them also. So that is us also can be a start of a sin. So we might have it's not that God says that we can, God just give us greater sins, that like if we do little sin we get little harm, and we can hurt others by doing something little. That small temper that we might have also is a weak point in us. We might hurt people with that little weak point that people say, like you have very good things, you have very like strong points in yourself, but only this thing in you is not right, what you're doing is not right. Like it might also be true sometimes to us also. We might think about it like we have great things, but this small thing in my life has changed myself. So like for this we can take an example, like if we have a long chain, we can see like to lift heavy loads we use interconnected like linked chain with lots of cuffs, but we see that it's really strong, it can lift heavy loads. But the only little thing is that in the between those chain, like if we see that at least even if one thing is like little weak, the other things that are linked in the chain might be very strong. But then the only thing is that the one fault in the chain, that one uh the iron that has, like it would be little weak. So we cannot depend on it, we cannot the others are strong, so we cannot take and use it. We don't know when it can break or when it might loosen, so we cannot depend on the change. We prefer choosing something else. It's the same thing we have in our lives. It might weaken us. The only weak point in our lives, we might have many strong points, we can have many other things, but then the only little weak point that we have in our lives might also destroy our characters. So we should have a thought control in ourselves. How should we have a thought control in ourselves? So it's like we should not allow Satan to enter into our minds and stand his ground on us. We should not allow Satan to tempt us and to be in his ground so that he might control us. We should have self control by having God first in our life, and so that we might not feel empty. Like most of the people say, no, I feel so lonely, I want to spend time with myself. Yeah, like many people have their own, like how they choose. But then like most of the people, like I have few friends like who say, I have so and so problem, I have so and so problem, but like they know everything more than us, like more than me, I can say. Like she knows way better than me what I can do. Like she knows way more better than God. Like, but she cannot put God first because she has a thought where Satan has trapped her with her one weak point, where her thoughts, the first thing is the imagination, that it might also destroy us. The thought that we have, the thought that we think in our mind. So the wrong thought in our mind creates a wrong feelings in us. So the wrong feelings and the wrong thoughts and the wrong imagination in our mind collects together, and then it forms us and gives us a wrong moral character. So that moral character would destroy our whole portrayal on how people see us. We might have many strong points, but then that weak point where you have been trapped, where you don't have self control over yourself, where you cannot come out of the point because of one thing that is not indulged in yourself, that is putting God first. We might have many positive things, but the only weak point in us is we cannot have self control in ourselves. So if we try to put God first, we might gain many things by him. Like we will have a good and a happy life if we put God first. We might not have an empty soul. Like most of them, we will say like we would feel that we have an empty life, we have nothing, we don't have a way to go, we don't have a purpose to live. Like many of the people will be like, why should I do this? Why should I do that? Like I don't have a purpose, I don't have to do this. Like they try to think about this. It's because of the evil thoughts. Like when we have a bad thought in our minds, it creates a wrong feeling towards others, and it might just create a wrong portrayal on how we see people. But if we put God first, it might create a good and a positive life, where it might also help others. Like people might look at us and we can be a certain example as Christ. So we have to keep God first and ask him to remove that one weak point that might remove all the wrong thoughts and all the wrong imaginations or wrong feelings that we have towards us, like in our mind, that creates in our mind, that might be the one weak point. We might not see the all the positive, people might not see all the positive or strong points that we might have, but many of them might notice the one weak point, or we might see the one weak point that keeps us away from God. So to remove that one weak point, we must ask God to be with us and to remove the one weak point that we have, that is covering all the strong points, where it says that God is strengthening us. That point where it also totally destroys our moral character. So we must ask God to be first and take his merit and give us a happy and a leading life by removing that one point, or our temper might be that one weak point, or any of the other character which you might know. We should ask God and make sure that he is always with us. We put our trust and hope in him, that he would remove and believe that he would remove that one weak point in our lives and make us more strong.